Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Lab number 111 SD-V1 Corbin Russwin standard stainless steel spring. So right away we know it's stainless steel. That would say something to someone in the know that, okay, this is a special spring. What's going to use a stainless spring? They are used in particular applications, and you are only to use that proper spring when working on this particular type of Corbin Russwin cylinder. And where we're going to be able to see stainless steel springs used will be in applications where their additional strength is necessary. You'll see them, the difference between, say, Corbin Russwin in their high security interlocking cylinders that were under the Emhart name. You'll have standard springs in those cylinders, but the two cores that have, if it's removable core, you'll have two chambers that have the control lug. You'll have a different spring that's used there. So be mindful that this stainless spring is certainly going to be used in particular applications. Obviously in Corbin Russwin and their high security is probably where you're going to see this. We'll take a closer look. So not much to see here. This is such a small item, not much for the camera to pick up on. I'll get my caliper and take a couple of basic dimensional properties. The outside diameter of the spring, 0.112 outside diameter. Overall length, I'll just do that here on my top of my workbench. I'd say you're going to be about 0.485 length. Getting my caliper onto one of the coils here. That wire diameter is 0.01, maybe 0.095. Okay. Now let's switch to the screen view and take a look at some supporting documentation. So this is the item here that we're looking at. Yeah, IC cylinder spring. Yeah, that's what I thought. For interchangeable core. Standard cylinder spring, but used for IC and stainless steel. When you're combinating Corbin Russwin, it will direct you where to use stainless. There's a cut sheet here. I'm not sure what that is. Okay, sure. So this cut sheet is literally going to show you the spring that we're talking about. 111S. They say the manufacturer's original part number is 603F207. We're going to take a look at that. First of all, 111S. It's not picking it up, but what we'll do is let's switch here to the manufacturer's page, and then we can pull up the entire catalog. And let's search 111S and see what we come up with. Okay, so we find it the same page that we were looking at earlier. They do list that it is in the Corbin Russwin System 70 DH and Z class kit, including I-core. So my guess is that you're going to use these springs in those control chambers, and I think Corbin Russwin is chambers 2 through 5, I think is what it is. I don't have the reference in front of me, and I've read it a number of times. I just don't recall. It's either 2 through 5 or 2 through 4. Okay, so it doesn't show up often, but it will show up in those instances. In the individual, in the kit for Corbin Russwin System 70, DH and Z class, including interchangeable core. Okay. And then there's a spring kit. So Lab has a gizmo that will include lots of different types of springs. I assure you that you'll want to use the spring that's been designed for the application. Now let's go back to the part number, the original manufacturer part number. This Lab probably makes this for Corbin Russwin, would be my guess. So in our site, there's going to be a link somewhere called Manufacturers. If you open that up, you'll be able to find Corbin Russwin. Then you can pull up their catalog, and perhaps we're going to be able to find that part number. Control F, 603, F207. So it doesn't show up at all in their catalog. It likely will in the price list. We'll do a Control F there. Okay, yeah, it does show up. 603 F207 shows up twice. Spring security and conventional core. So that's telling me that it's used in their security. That's going to be Access, that's going to be Pyramid from Corbin Russwin is where you'll find that. Although they clearly have a spring for all Pyramid cylinders. Now the security, they might just be meaning the M-Heart security, is what I believe they're referring to when they say security. So let's take a little closer look at that. On that Corbin Russwin page, you're going to find a document called Cylinder Manual. Go ahead and open that up, and this is what I mean by security, the M-Heart security, the interlocking pins. And by the way, I said Z, DH, and Z class. This document will define all of that to you. There's no reason for you to be unsure of what that means. Reading this document a couple of times will make you quite expert when it comes to Corbin Russwin. So they're interchangeable core. They don't call out that these springs are any different. Let's see. Yeah, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it was chambers 2 through 5 is what it was. Keep scrolling to get probably to master ring next. Yeah, here's master ring. And we'll get to the high security M-Heart. Okay, they don't. Okay, because this is conventional core. I think it was removable core. Yeah, here they do indicate a different spring. 4 high security and 2 control. I don't recall off the top of my head which is which on this. It's my guess that the 4 high security are going to be the stainless springs because they'll be stronger. And you need to have adequate force on these pins to keep them in the proper orientation because these are a rotated pin, or there are skews on these. There's left and right skew on these M-Heart pins. Yeah, you have left and right skew is what they call them. So those are rotated pins. So you need to be able to have proper spring force pushing everything down to make sure that the interlocking pins are aligned with the grooves for the T portion of the top interlocking pin to ride through. Don't quote me necessarily. I'm going on memory. I've read this a number of times. Because I don't use it every day, I don't recall, but that would be my guess. This manual is incredibly helpful when it comes to Corbin Russwin, so I would encourage you to review it if you deal with Corbin Russwin at all. In any way, if you come in contact with Corbin Russwin, I think this document, most of it would be, becoming familiar with it would be pretty mandatory. Now that link to the manufacturer's page that we were on here will allow us to open up the entire catalog. Our springs were on page 7 and 8. Okay, our cut sheet was there. But the rest of this catalog is incredibly handy because it will allow you to review all of the other items by lab, not only springs, pins, pin kits, locksmithing tools. Okay, a lot of helpful information. Slide covers, shims, caps for doing individually capped style interchangeable core, small format. All sorts of pins, different diameters. Lab does not make every pin for every system, but they do make the common material. They make more than the common material. They make the common material and much more, in fact. I own at least 3 of these LPK 003s. It's a very nice universal style kit with an increment of 30 thousandths of an inch. I find that to be the right size for my work. 005 is not the right size. I don't like to file. I don't like to touch a plug or anything with a file. Lots of pin kits, as you can see, for different platforms, different technologies. Locksmithing tools near the end. Pick kits, plug followers, tension rods, cap removal tool. I would recommend that if you do Schlage, that this tool is shockingly expensive. I can tell you that once you get over the buyer's remorse and you use it, you won't look back. You'll never regret spending the huge amount of money that this tool costs. Lubricant, I'm not sure whose key systems this is approved for. I wouldn't, do not tacitly just assume that it is approved for what you're working on. Small format decoder with a book. You can eject all of the, with your ejector tool, eject all of the pins out along with the spring and figure out at least what your bottom and master cut possibilities would be. You can certainly obtain your control cut. Then you'll have your driver pin as well, along with the spring and cap, assuming that they're individually capped. This will not work with those cores that take a slide cover, though. At least I don't believe that it will. It doesn't say that it must be individually capped that I can see. Yeah, well, it says and caps, so a Falcon style is not going to work with this kind of book because you've got that spring cover there. Medical pin decoder, you've got 6 different depths of medical pins. You have fore and aft pins, and then you have left, center, and right pins. Fore and aft. Key blank quality Medico does sell. K is fore left, fore center, fore right, aft left, aft center, aft right. And if you remember the mnemonic, key blank quality Medico does sell, and remember that fore becomes first because it's before, and aft comes after because it's after. You can easily remember that. That mnemonic was given to me by William Link, a certified master locksmith and Aloha ACE instructor, who I was super thrilled to sit in class with him for a couple of days, him as the instructor. More tools are here as well, more pins. I would recommend reviewing this document. Let's wrap up this video on camera. In conclusion, if you have any questions on the Corbin, or the lab for Corbin Russwin 111S stainless steel spring or any other lab product, please feel free to reach out to us. A very high quality company in 3 decades of using their products. I've never come across a mismanufactured item. Maybe once, maybe one time, but that's it. Any questions on this or any other lab product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.